Coming up on the Making Waves VO podcast.
Most people who start voiceover will never succeed, and it has nothing to do with talent or ability. It has everything to do with having the right mindset and understanding what it takes to grow a business, which most people, frankly, just don't have, aren't willing to do what it takes.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
Welcome to the Making Waves VO podcast. We are knee deep in 2025, Bobby.
We are. It's all just come flying at us at one time, but that's a good thing.
Yeah, are we going to thrive in 2025?
You stole that from me, Kevin.
Well, it's everywhere, though. It's all the car spots. Oh,
Are they really? Oh,
yeah, well,
sorry.
they're doing Drive in 25, Time for a new drive in 2025. Anyway, and that's how I do all my car spots, by the way. I sound like this all the
Yes.
time. That's what moves metal, Bobby.
And our guest would know that.
Yeah. We're going to chat with Bill DeWees coming up in just a second. Bobby, I wanted to catch up. How is your 2025 going so far?
It's going really good. I got 2 new national accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk about them?
Yeah, absolutely. One of them is Champion Windows, Doors, and Siding. And
Oh, yeah.
It's national. That one just is so cool because they started in my hometown of Cincinnati, and the fact that, they're national and I'm national, so it's just really cool. And the next one is very interesting. I haven't started recording for them, but I've talked with the people. If you've traveled on the freeways at all, or maybe even in your hometown area, you've heard of the Love's Travel Centers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to start doing their internal stuff, which means anything from sales over the intercom to saying, customer number 12, your shower is ready.
Bobby, do you know how many times I've showered at a Love's truck stop center?
You have not.
I'm serious. Do you know how many times?
No.
0. You're right. 0. I tell you what. All right, we hear him chuckling in the background. We can't wait anymore. By the way, the Making Waves VO podcast is presented by Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
And ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome him on the Making Waves VO podcast. He's a voice actor. He's a coach. He's an overall VO entrepreneur, mega, I don't know. He's just like he's a king of all voiceover media in a way. Bill DeWees.
He's been around.
Yeah, he has been around. Bill, how are you, man?
Can we trademark that? I'm fine. Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. And Bobby, congrats to you. My
thanks.
goodness, way to come out of the gate strong. Love
Thanks. I hope it stays. Thank you so much. Appreciate
The
it.
king of all voiceover media. Now, I'm
might
just
be a bit much, but
tongue in cheek,
Just a
of
tad.
course.
Yeah,
but
of
Bill and I go way back. Bill and I think you and I first connected. Was it 2005, 6, somewhere around there?
Yeah, that's exactly when it was. Yes.
Yeah, and we were. I think I found you when I was doing a casting, right?
Yeah, I don't even remember exactly how it happened. I was thinking about that this morning, and I don't recollect how it happened, but I remember that you started using me for some radio spots.
Yep. And I'm pretty sure I found you on one of the platforms, the voice platform casting sites.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we became friends after that. We attended a weekend audiobook workshop in New York City that was held
Tore that city up.
Pat Fraley, Hillary Huber, and then there was a guest director that came in for a little while. I can't remember her name. It was like Martha Schultz or something like that. I can't remember.
Dang.
I do remember there was a Grammy Award-winning audiobook producer, Paul Rubin, was there as well. I do remember that.
Pee Wee Herman?
Well, I know, exactly. That's the only way I remember his name. Not the same guy, though. I don't think.
Oh, my goodness.
Or was it?
But Bill and I go way back. And Bobby, how do you know Bill? From Cincinnati?
Well, I've obviously heard of Bill for a long time, and I'm trying to think how it came. I have a group of friends in voiceover in Cincinnati, and his name has come up many times, and especially because he did radio in, was it Columbus, Bill?
Columbus, yeah.
But your wife is from Cincinnati and went to my high school.
That's right. You guys were just a year apart in high school.
I know,
Lakota.
it's crazy.
Go T-Birds.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's a bizarre reference.
Yeah. So you moved to Cincinnati because her mother was ill. Was that correct?
Right. Yeah. So we were there for about 2.5 years. Start right at the beginning of COVID, and then we came back to the Chicago area to be near our kids and grandkids just a little over a year ago.
Yeah. Right. So back in the Windy City. But that's how I know Bill.
Yeah.
Now, Bill, I know you come from a business background, a radio background. I'm trying to recall the transition. Were you developing e-learning content?
Yeah, that was there were so many things, Kevin, and I won't bore you with all the details.
And you were a cat juggler for a while, right? You made a living cat juggling.
It was a very short stint.
Okay, yeah.
And that came right before dog juggling, which was also very short.
Oh, and there was the whole
very
Fluffy
short-lived.
incident. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, now you're touching on a raw nerve.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
But
No, but you developed e-learning content, I think, right before transitioning full time, right?
I did. I left radio in 2005. And at that time, actually, I was working in academia, too. So there at the end of my career, I was teaching at a university and running their radio. They had a big radio station, so I managed that. And from there, I went to work for a business consulting firm in Chicago. And then from there, I was working at a corporate learning services company. So part of that was e-learning, but also we would do, in-house stuff. It was all instructional design. And then from there, that's when I transitioned into voiceover in 2005.
Wow, those were some crazy few years there.
Yeah, it really was. It was a whirlwind.
Hey, it's Amanda from Amanda Utter VO, and you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with my friends, Kevin and Bobby. Thanks for listening.
So how many years have you been full-time voiceover?
19 years. Later this year it'll make 20 years.
Okay. So 2025 is kind of a big thing for you because you're changing up your business model a little bit, huh?
Yeah. In 2010, I began coaching as well. And I recently made the decision that it was time to resign from coaching, kind of leave that part of it behind and get back to the core of what I do, which is voiceovers. And it just became increasingly busy. And as the business grew and more people involved, it was a lot. And you guys know how much energy, emotional, mental, and physical energy it takes to be competitive in voiceover. And voiceover was really becoming the afterthought, and was beginning to show it. I mean, I'm still doing fine, better than I ever imagined I would, but it's just not, like it was years ago. So time to get back and focus on it and, make that the center of my attention.
So are you still doing the YouTube thing? Do you still have your marketing group?
No, I'm not going to do any of that anymore.
Okay.
A guy by the name of Mike Cathcode is taking over my duties with the VoiceOver Blueprint, which was the program, or is the program, and will continue doing the daily videos in my place that I've been doing for the past however many years. So, so that continues, but not my involvement.
This is so interesting, Bill, because over the years, you and I, we know each other from 2005 or so, but we haven't talked a whole lot. Every couple of years, it seems like we'll, hook up for a project or something like that. But we haven't talked. But I have been watching you and following you, and seeing some of the things. Now, we're in an industry that there's a lot of communication, there's a lot of Facebook groups, there's a lot of social collaboration and connecting and talking and chatting. And sometimes it's not so positive. And over the years, I've just seen on and off, there's somebody else jumping on Bill. There's somebody else jumping on Bill. And I tend to stay out of those because I don't know all the details of what's going on. But now that you're calling that part of your business over, calling it done, whatever it is. Can you reflect a little bit back on those years and how it felt to you to be, reviled and people were jumping on you?
It's interesting. It's humorous to me as I think back because I still don't really fully understand. The thing that really helped me, I think, succeed in voiceover was when I realized, when I came into voiceover, not knowing anything about it, I was listening to whatever. Of course, this is 2005, so there wasn't nearly as much public information as there is now. But I was just searching for anything that I could. I was working under the assumption that voiceover was unlike anything I'd ever experienced in my life before, and that I really needed to relearn everything from the ground up. That didn't work so well. That was hard. I mean, the advice I was given was, get some coaching, get a demo, get an agent. Well, I did. And, and I was getting some work. But I'll tell you this will put it in perspective. I won't tell you who the agency was, but I was, I went out to Los Angeles, did my demo, came back, started marketing it, immediately got signed with an agency in the Chicago area. And that was 17 years ago. I haven't booked a single job through that agency.
Wow.
Now, that doesn't mean I haven't booked through other agencies. And
right.
Of course, I've booked, I don't know how many jobs that I've booked. But my point being, I realized that business model was not very sustainable. It was why most people really struggled to make voiceover full time. And so I started thinking back, for goodness sakes, I was a business consultant, a marketing consultant. I worked for, a consulting firm. I worked with tons of small businesses. Well, it is, but I disregarded all of that, thinking, well, this is different. It's not. It's not different. It's not different. I mean, it's a different product, but it doesn't matter if you're selling widgets or you're voiceover talent. Business is business, marketing is marketing. So I just went back to what I knew, which really I began learning when I was in radio. Because you really had to be a guerrilla marketer to, at least I had to. I was never working with much of a marketing budget. So I had to be very creative, and I was mentored by some really, what I consider to be genius level people in the area of marketing. So I just took what, crumbs I could hold on to and remember and try to utilize. And so all that to say that I began looking at voiceover in a different way. And I really thought that there's nothing wrong with getting an agent, but that's not a business plan.
Right.
That's not it's like saying, well, I'm going to play the lottery for retirement. That's a really bad retirement
And that's
plan.
exactly why I'm chuckling. Just a little interjection there is people that join this business, get into it. They think with a few lessons, they're going to grab an agent and land that $1 million gig.
Yeah.
And if they do, it's akin to winning the lottery, and good for them, and I'm happy for them. But then what happens once they're not the voice of that product anymore? Now, how do they make a living? I'll never forget, I had a guy, contact me once, wanted to do some one-on-one coaching. And his story was he had recently, he was an older gentleman, and I think the year before, maybe a couple of years before, had, booked a 6-figure campaign for Centrum vitamins.
Wow.
And, anybody would say that's amazing, and it is amazing. But the problem was that money was gone. And that account was long past. And he didn't know what he's going to do next because he really hadn't been equipped to understand how business operates and how you market yourself and how you get clients and how you keep clients. And so that's really been my focus. And that rubs a lot of people, believe it or not, that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. It was like being, I think, almost like becoming a threat to the status quo of what was being preached as gospel. And I dared to say, well, you might want to consider something else as well.
And I think, Bill, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, man, because I like you. And my judgment on you is from my perspective. I like you. I think you're a kind human being. And that goes a long ass way with me. But people from the other side, I think they thought it was predatory practices that you and your business partner may have been reaching out to folks and going, hey, if you're a newbie, if you want to learn what it takes, I can tell you how to make 6 figures in a few months. Do you feel like you purported that could happen that way? And again, I'm playing devil's advocate, man.
Yeah, no, I understand. When it comes to the front end of any business, it's like a resume. When you're going to get a job, you're focusing on the best aspects of what you do and what you can do. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to marketing, and I never said anything that wasn't true, because I think the hook was I did teach a lot of people to make 6 figures in voiceover. A lot of success stories doing that. That was kind of the thing.
So it's true what you said then. Shit.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, not for 100%. Most people who start voiceover will never succeed. And it has nothing to do with talent or ability. It has everything to do with having the right mindset and understanding what it takes to grow a business, which most people, frankly, just don't have, aren't willing to do what it takes.
And so many people think that it's going to come to them or you're going to get a referral. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're waiting to be discovered. They're waiting to break in. Everybody told them they had a great voice, and they just really don't understand the realities. And I've had this conversation with my wife so many times because and I would ask her, and I'd ask her the same thing. Knowing that most of these people will never actually make it, is it even right to do that? But the reality is, it's that way with anything that's business related. Most people, once they get into it, they realize they're more of an employee than, a self-employed kind of person, because it requires a completely different mindset, a completely different skill set. And unless you're willing to do the hard work, it'll never work. And so most of my energy was spent trying to help people get their heads in the right place, because they could all succeed. I never had a doubt that any person that I worked with had the ability to succeed. Were they willing to do what it took to get there? And that's where people kind of fall off. I hope that helps kind of clarify.
Yeah, it does 100%, because, and I'm of the same mindset. Like, I feel like I've got a blog on my website, it's about, because, we get asked about getting into voiceover all the time, right?
Yeah.
And so I got tired of, you do this and you do this. So I wrote a blog. And so I just, anytime, the once, 2, 3 times, 4 times a month that somebody asks, I send them my blog. Here's what it takes. Coaching, training, then you got to set up demos. And I've always said it's commensurate to me with getting a college degree in terms of time invested and money invested, because it does take a financial investment to do this business, and you're not just going to get shit handed to you. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication. And I'm of the same mindset that anybody can do it if they have the right mindset and work ethic.
Yes, and I'll also say that I don't think it's nearly as expensive as most people think that it is, especially now with so many opportunities that are available that weren't before. But I'll tell you back, Kevin, when we first started working together, I was working with a Marshall MXL microphone.
Stop bragging.
I don't know about that mic. Is that kind of...
No, it's like a $99.
That's
I mean,
okay.
it's the super cheap end of the. But somebody giving it to me. I didn't even pay for it. You buy it on eBay today for $50. I used that for like 3 or 4 years. I booked national work with that. I built a 6-figure income with that microphone. And I'm not saying. See, that's the thing. The answer is not in the microphone. Is the point? The point's not to go and buy a Marshall MXL. The point is. And by the way, I love my Neumann TLM 103 now. So you know what I mean? Once the money was flowing in, sure, whatever, live it up, get crazy. I have a bunch of guitars hanging on my wall too.
Did you upgrade from those Walmart mattress toppers?
I did, and I had a Walmart mattress topper in front of my face in the closet I was operating out of.
I'm pretty sure I told you about those in that trick, because that's what I did.
You probably did. I had a Dell desktop running Windows 95. And this cheap little Behringer mixer. I mean, you would have laughed. And frankly, the audio. I'm lucky I got any work at all, but I did work, and I worked pretty consistently. Literally, I spent $300 on that entire setup. $75 for the computer. The mic was free. A few dollars here and there. It was $300. Now I did spend. I'd spent money on a demo and got some coaching. So, your points, you're well taken, but people come to me and say, well, I've spent $5,000 on equipment. I've spent $20,000 on training. I'm out of money. Can you help me? Oh, well, no. Thanks for making me your last thought. First of all, that's
right. Oh.
Don't go anywhere. The Making Waves VO podcast returns in a moment.
Hi, everyone. This is voice actor Karin Gilfrey, and you're listening to my awesome friends Kevin and Bobby on the amazing Making Waves VO podcast.
You know what I love about Full Compass, Bobby?
What's that, Kev?
All the sales. and they are having a winter clearance sale going on right now at Full Compass, where you can save up to, get this, 83%.
Wow.
Bobby, my Arkansas high school math skills may be wrong, but to me, that's a lot.
That is a lot. 83%?
Uh-huh.
Ooh, I'm looking here. They have a lot of speakers that have been marked down. They have a Mackie 1600-watt speaker that's, 45% off. Very cool. They have Yamaha speakers, 66% off. Nice.
So what we do in our world, we need gear, right? We need it all the time. Sometimes we want to upgrade. Maybe you want a new interface. Well, check this out. You can get a new interface on sale right now, a Universal Audio Volt 476 for 35% off.
Wow.
35% off. Now that thing lists at $459, and so now it's $299 for a limited time. That is a great deal. There's other interfaces on sale, but all kinds of gear for everything you might need in your studio.
And don't forget that Full Compass always has the low price guarantee, and they have a free 2-year service and repair plan. Plus, they can do free shipping on orders over $49. This is an amazing sale.
If you have questions about your purchase and you want that knowledge, that feeling of knowing that you've got the right thing for your needs, call and talk to one of the friendly professionals there at Full Compass at 800-356-5844. Exceptional service since 1977 at Full Compass. FullCompass.com.
We know VO.
Making Waves returns.
Basically, 5 years, 10 years down the road, the people who were bashing you at the beginning are now on these social media groups saying, you have to put, you have to diversify, you have to market, so there's got to be a little justification for you, right? Because everybody's doing it.
Are you vindicated, Bill?
I feel like I was kind of out on the front taking all the blows. And it's funny, I look back and I think, wait a minute, that's what I was talking about. It's like we could get off into all kinds of things. But here's one of the things that really, really pissed people off. And that was when I started talking about this in my coaching, is the way that I built my business. I started by figuring out, what do I need to survive? Because that corporate learning services company I was talking about went out of business. And that's what prompted me to move. I had to do something. And so I thought, what do I need to survive? My wife and 3 kids at home. I've got a mortgage, car payments. What do I have to survive? So what I calculated, it was about $50,000. Well, that came out to about $200 a day, Monday through Friday, 52 weeks out of the year. So the driving question was, how can I make $200 a day? And guys, I'll be honest with you, I didn't care how I did it. I didn't care if it was, I didn't care if it came through one job or whether it was $20, $10 jobs. And I did a lot of really small town local radio stuff where I was getting $5 to $10 a pop.
Yeah.
And I have no regrets about that. And people say, well, you're driving down the price of voiceovers. Well, first of all, I wish I had that much power to do that. Wouldn't that be nice? But it was just business. And there's you have to think of context too. It's like, well, you can't compare a national campaign to a small town radio station of a town you've never heard of before, where those guys, they're barely getting by.
Yeah, and they have no budgets.
They're on-air talent usually do it for, just for nothing extra. So the fact they would even pay me $5 or $10 was a big deal. And again, it allowed me to survive until I could cultivate and build a, better client base, till I could get a stronger skill set and get, better work and more pay. And, but that was one of the things that I think that people latched on to and said, well, he's teaching people to really screw up the marketplace. Because, it's just like most unions, people, it's a very territorial kind of thing. And they don't want anybody to mess up their flower garden. It doesn't, it's like, I'm sure it was the same way with, people, who sold horses for transportation when cars came along. I'm sure they were very angry that they were losing market share to cars, but it was inevitable. That's just the way the world works. I could go on, but I
get that. And now that we are here in 2025 and you are refocusing on the voiceover side of your career, do you feel like you've learned something over all these years in terms of rates? Would you still take those kinds of jobs? Because I know you don't need them.
Well, no. Well, here's the thing. I guess I didn't really finish the story. So just to make it very brief, the idea was this: my initial objective was to fill my basket full of work, as much work as I could get in the day, with the hopes of being able to make $200. Mm-hmm. That was the hope. As I did, and I did, I filled up my day. I was busy. Well, at that point, what I began doing was I began getting better paying clients and better work. I began letting go of my lowest paid clients. And so that's just kind of been my business model as this time has gone by. As I get more money from better paying clients, I've let go in the most polite way. People who it just doesn't make sense for me to work for anymore because my time is worth more than that.
Well, kind of like you're changing your business model and getting out of the coaching thing too. You are evolving through every step, and you see that you're at a place now where you can get these higher paying national jobs and sustain that more than $200 a day.
Yeah, and the market. And here's another thing people hate me for saying, and that is you don't determine your value. The market determines your value. Yeah. I can say, well, sure, I'm worth X number of dollars. Well, maybe you are, maybe you're not. Let's see if anybody's willing to hire you for that.
Let's let the market decide.
Yes, let the market decide that. So, and that was never a popular thing for me to say either. So, I'll be honest, guys, that stuff doesn't bother me at all. I find that more humorous than anything.
Man.
My feelings weren't hurt.
Good for having that thick skin.
It's funny.
I think this would be a good time to bring up your daughter, who thrives in the Fiverr world.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's $5 jobs. Can you kind of tell us how she established what she's working with right now and how she became so successful with Fiverr?
Yeah. Oh, my daughter Mallory, she was actually my full-time assistant for 10 years. Oh, wow. And I envy her skills. She's way more talented than she realizes or gives herself credit for. And was very hesitant. Very hesitant about putting herself out there. And she would get I would get some jobs in where they're looking for a female voice. She was able to do that work and get some experience along the way. But several years ago, she set up a Fiverr gig, and my goodness, if she didn't she makes over 6 figures a year in voiceover just off Fiverr. Now, wow. She does it on a part-time basis, like 4 hours a day. So,
that's amazing.
She's a stay-at-home mom and is able to do that. Now, she would be the first to tell you, during those 4 hours, she's very busy because she's not getting top dollar she's not doing $5 jobs, but she's not doing top dollar for everything. She has decided to go, there's 2 roads on Fiverr. There's like their regular thing and then there's their, what they call Fiverr Pro. Now, I operate as a Fiverr Pro, and this might be interesting for the discussion. And it's not that Mallory can't. Mallory chooses not to because she wants a higher volume business. Mm-hmm. It gives her a more consistent and dependable income. For me, I'm just looking it's just another, for me, I call it a spoke on the marketing wheel. Mm-hmm. I'm just looking for another spoke. So for me, it's that. So I get paid more dollars per job than she does, but she makes way more money than I do, total on Fiverr. And for the, Bobby, you mentioned this, some people still think it's $5. It's funny to me how critical people are about things they don't understand anything about. That drives me nuts.
I don't understand it either. What kind of money can you make on there? Like, I know in 6 figures, but in terms of per job.
Yeah. Well, I made a couple $1,000s first week of the year.
Really?
Fiverr.
On a project? Yeah.
Well, I see there was a $1,400 project.
Wow.
And then $500 or $600 project. My jobs range from a couple $100, upwards of well over $1,000 per job. And these aren't big jobs. I mean, they're, well, yeah. Well, see, and that's what people don't understand is that Fiverr, they're a serious business. They recruit top talent. They don't recruit voiceover talent to run their business. They recruit top business talent to run their business. Mm. And if you do some research on their CEO and their high level executives, these guys, what they've been doing over the past several years is they've been concentrating on cultivating a better customer base for those of us who use it. So you can do everything from $5 jobs if that's where you're at. And frankly, I see nothing wrong with that. If you're set up with a Marshall and Excel in your closet and you want to do $5 or $10, knock yourself out. But everything from that to, I know Mallory's done a number of national campaigns. and was hired off of Fiverr. And I've, like I said, my average job on Fiverr is just a tad bit probably more than my average job outside of Fiverr.
So it's kind of gone from only agents, into production houses, into pay-to-play, Fiverr. And now we're seeing a lot of people book on social media, whether it be Instagram or X or whatever. Do you use social media to market yourself?
In a very small way, I've thought about it. Frankly, I just haven't had the time to make it a central point of focus, and maybe going forward I will. The way I've used social media at this point is a lot of my clients, follow me on social media, so I'll post things to let them know I'm still working because, success breeds success, and I want to let them know that I'm still out there and I'm still doing the work. So I'll post those kind of things really to help continue to cultivate my current clients. But I haven't used it to try to get new clients yet. But on my list of things to do for 2025 is looking closely at LinkedIn for that.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. I'm Chris McCloy, and they didn't pay me a dime to say this. Why am I doing this for free?
Hang on a sec. I'll talk to my agent.
Bill, do you anticipate doing anything other than voiceover in 2025? No demo production, no coaching, etc.?
Well, I'll say this. I'm not promoting it. I've got a demo client that I'm working with at the end of this month, and I was talking to, I do a lot of production also for, I don't know if you're familiar with Aaron Bradley. He's a TV affiliate guy, does a bunch of TV stations, and has done a couple of programs for me in the past. And he works with TV affiliate talent, and so I produce for him. Oh, okay. And I'm sure I'll still be doing some things for him as well. But I won't be promoting it. And I don't know that I'll accept everything that comes along, or if anything. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I'm certainly not looking to fill up my days with that, for sure.
Gotcha. Follow-up question to that. So if we're done with the coaching programs and that kind of thing, I'm not looking for a number, but except for a percentage, what percentage of your income was that coaching side?
It's interesting. Let me give you a before and after. And COVID being the line in the sand.
Okay.
Before COVID, it was like 75% of my income was, or maybe a little less, was voiceover. The rest was voiceover coaching. After COVID, it flip-flopped.
Yep.
Wow.
And it became about 2/3 coaching and 1/3 voiceover. And part of that was to the fact that my voiceover income dropped dramatically fast. A lot of my core clients, their budgets were cut. It's no different than any other business during COVID. A lot of them didn't survive. Those who did survive, sales were down, budgets were cut. What's the first thing to get cut in a corporate budget? Well, it's marketing, it's advertising, and then training. So training and marketing, and that's where we live. As voiceover talent. So it affected people differently, but with the client base that I had, it did affect me. And if I had lost voiceover training, I still would have been fine. So my business was at a place where it didn't make a difference on our lifestyle, but nobody likes to see their income go down. But voiceover training exploded because everybody was looking for something to do from home.
Yep.
And so that's when things really got wild, and things have started to settle down a little bit. But a lot of people realize, who've never thought about voiceover want to work from home,
Sure.
and they're looking into it. So yeah, again, I'd say about 2/3 of my income since COVID has been voiceover training.
Do you still, are you still on pay to play?
I am not I used to do the $5,000 thing on Voice 123 and voices.com. I'm at their regular memberships now. I did an audition on Voice 123 earlier this morning, but I probably don't do more than 2, 3, 4 auditions a month. I'm there really more to try to be found. Occasionally people will stumble across me and
Right. Sounds like you're kind of like Kevin and I. You have a lot of regular clients, which is always a good thing.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, who was I talking? I think it was our mutual friend Rob Ryder the other day, saying my idea of voiceover hell would be that every job that you got had to be a new client. That would, I mean, can you imagine?
Oh, I talked with a guy a few months ago, or less than a year ago, I'll say, and we were chatting, and he's like, yeah, I'm just trying to develop some, regular monthly clients, and he's successful. And I'm like, dude, you don't have regular clients? He goes, no, I start fresh every single month with jobs. And I'm like, oh, that would give me a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
Could you imagine? He's really good, though. He's really good.
You'd have to be. I mean, you'd have to be like the best in the world, or nearly. I mean, that would be, and was a big part of the training too. Is developing and cultivating customers. And I didn't hear people talking about. I'm not saying people didn't talk about it. I heard very little about it though. And that's maybe the most important part of this whole thing. Is if you can't keep your customers, man, what a rough way to run a business.
What do you think the number one thing is? The number one mistake as a voiceover in losing a client is?
Yeah, I think they think it's about them and not about their client. I've talked to so many clients about this. I'd love to get their opinion. They have it, in my experience talking to clients, they have a general perception of voice talent as being flaky, as not following up, as not doing, delivering when they say they'll deliver, with not communicating, with disappearing. I mean, like ghosting them, just like, and I think that comes from a mindset thinking that we're the show. And I think you have to realize in business that the customer is the show. I mean, it's all about serving them. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about our ego. We're just there to serve a purpose. Nobody knows our names and you know what I mean? This is not like some celebrity thing that we do, for goodness sakes. But I think a lot of people kind of see themselves as that. And it's about them and what they need and you've got to be willing to communicate with clients and serve them in the ways that they need, and they need things delivered on time. Whatever you agree to, you need to do. And sometimes you need to bend over a little backwards to help. And if you'll do that, and if you can make your client a hero to their boss or to their client, they'll love you for it and they'll never let you go, which is what I'm always shooting for.
That's it. Under promise, over deliver, be a solution provider, have the answers, be easy to work with, be on time. All those dumb little things you hear all the time. Yeah, it all matters.
In every genre. Yeah.
Yes. And in every job, by the way. I mean, the things we're talking about reach far outside of voiceover. I think it's just a way of living, a way of looking at the world, the way of interacting with the world and with people. And when you do that, there's dividends that are paid.
Don't go anywhere. The Making Waves VO podcast returns in a moment.
Surf's up. It's the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. This is voice actor and studio owner Christy Bowen, and they appreciate you listening.
As a voice actor, you want to focus on what's important, right? Like pulling off the perfect read. You don't want to stress about tech stuff. That's why Full Compass is in your corner. With 50 years experience in pro audio, Full Compass has everything we voice actors need. Mics, headphones, monitors, mixers, interfaces, DAWs, all the goodies. And their certified product experts help with everything they sell. Plus, you can get free same-day shipping, flexible financing, and a low price guarantee. See it all at fullcompass.com. Fullcompass.com. They know VO.
Now back to the podcast.
You've given us an idea of, a good business acumen in terms of client relationships. What about those that are starting out, Bill, or that are newer and are hungry in marketing? What kind of, because I know you've done it. What kind of marketing tips might you give?
Well, first of all, let me just talk about, before I talk about marketing, I mentioned mindset. I think you just have to have the right expectations. And the expectation that you're going to build a career. Now, you can get a job in the first week of voiceover. That's not necessarily such a big deal. You can't build a career in a week or in a month or maybe even in a year. That, and you have to understand that there's a lot that goes in. Have you guys ever heard of the sales funnel analogy in marketing? The sales funnel
the 10%,
analogy,
20, whatever the highest number. Is that what you're talking about?
I think you're getting the right idea. The idea is that you have to look at any business as the process of selling is a funnel, and you have to put a lot in the top, which is marketing. You put a lot in the top in different ways. You just fill the funnel as much as you can. Eventually, only a very small amount will trickle out the bottom as a customer. Mm-hmm. A lot in the top, a lot out of the bottom. When it comes to marketing, the thing that I really try to impress on people is that what you think is required is not nearly as much as required to get what you want in voiceover. it happens all the time. One of the first things when I get a new student, if I'm meeting with them one-on-one, I'll say, so tell me, what have you been doing this far? They'll contact me saying, I'm frustrated. I've been working hard. Nothing's happening. So one of the first things I say is, tell me about your marketing. I'll say, well, I did 20 auditions on Voice 123 last month. I've sent out 5 emails this month and, whatever. And the first thing I'll say is, well, we have not even scratched this. You haven't even begun yet. That's not even a start. Mm-hmm. You've got to think large volume of everything. That is one thing that I did understand because of my previous experience in business before, was that sometimes you just have to overcome by sheer force of volume and size. I was willing to audition, more than anybody. I was willing to go out and to call more people, to email more people. If you do all of those things and you're consistent with it over a long period of time, it pays off. So my first bit of advice is whatever you think you're going to need to do, you're going to need to 10x that, because it's not going to happen the way you want it to happen at the rate you're doing it.
Absolutely. If you had to look in your crystal ball, where do you hope to be in 10 years from now?
Bobby, my gosh.
Well, it's a valid question. I know how I feel.
It's a very valid. What's funny is I'm trying to figure out what I am now. It's because I've been doing this for so long and I'm phasing out and I find myself sitting around a lot, staring out the window at the snow falling and saying,
and that's okay.
What are you doing with your life right now? And I'm not busy thinking about stuff every second of every day, and I almost feel guilty about that.
Right.
But as I look forward, though, back to your question, 10 years, hopefully I'll be healthy and alive. That would be that's my first goal. Beyond that, I hope to still be recording voiceovers. That would be, I'd like to have a core group of clients that maybe I assign the first 4 hours of my days where I focus on voiceover and I spend more time doing stuff with my grandkids live 3 doors down from me. And the oldest is in high school and the youngest is still in grade school. Yeah, and it's great because they just come over all the time. But, we go to their football games, baseball games, recitals. If it's going on, we're there. And I'm hoping that I'll still be able to, hopefully visit them in college or wherever they're at and whatever's going on. I want to be able to spend more time with them, more time with my friends. I want to make some more trips back to Cincinnati, Bobby, and have breakfast with you guys and maybe Kevin. Maybe I'll get really daring and make it down to Nashville sometime.
Yeah. But don't be a stranger.
Well, yeah, that's right, Bob. You're not. Yeah, I'd have to see you in Nashville anyhow. So never mind. Yeah. Maybe we can all meet for breakfast down there. So at least you have 2 people
having breakfast with you.
Yeah, exactly. But I was just talking to my mom the other day, and I haven't visited with her for a long time. It's been a while, and I was talking to my wife. We need to make a point. We need to go see her. And I've got other friends I need to go see that my life has been so preoccupied. It's just been hard to do. So, that doesn't sound very exciting. I mean, it's not really career. My 10 years from now, I don't have a real career mindset. It's more, I think, relational and just the things that I want to do.
Yeah, but still maybe dabbling. Yeah.
My final question for you, Bill, before we let you go is there a genre in VO that you have not conquered that you would like to?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Boy, when I first got into voiceover, I thought TV promos. I thought that would be the coolest thing. And what I realize now is that's a career path that that can take a while to develop. That is something that I always thought would be really fun. And I've done some. I even I was able to do a US Open promo for Fox a few years back. And I booked that through
Tennis
Voice
or golf?
123. It was golf.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was exciting.
What'd you say you booked it
through? Voice 123.
Yeah.
Fox Sports booking through Voice 123. Beautiful thing. So I've been able to dabble in that. I think that would be fun to do. I was talking to my friend Aaron Bradley, the TV. By the way, he's the voice of WKRC in Cincinnati, Channel 2. It's been that for years. So he's that guy.
Okay.
I bet I know his voice.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. He's on Fox Chicago here. He's all over the place. And we were talking about, I said, hey, who knows? Maybe I'll look into TV affiliate work. But the thing is, that's, talk about the golden handcuffs, that I don't want to be in a situation where have to be delivering stuff every day on a deadline. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'm pretty laid back about the whole thing.
Yeah, but dude, I'm so happy for your success, and
thanks,
I'm thankful for our friendship all these years, and
Me too.
the fact that we can just reach out, even if we haven't talked for a few years, just reach out and catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a real pleasure, and thanks for this opportunity. And Bobby, always good reconnecting with you as well.
You too. There some golden nuggets in there. I mean, just seeing what you just talked about from where you started and where you're working right now is pretty amazing, and I think our listeners will really appreciate that trend.
Well, thanks again. Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, how can folks reach you, Bill, if they want to book you for voiceover opportunities?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking. Bill at Bill DeWees, DeWees.com. And that's my website too, BillDeWees.com.
Excellent. Best of luck moving forward, man. Much continued success. It's been a blast, hanging out with you again.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, guys. Sure appreciate it. All the best with the podcast. This is good stuff.
Thanks, Bill.
That didn't get nearly as controversial as I had thought, Bobby, but it was so great catching up with Bill.
It was. He doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
He just doesn't care what
so
people think.
So there's no controversy to be had.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that.
Great.
And I love the attitude that he doesn't care. He's just going to do his own thing. And we both know that he's a good person.
Yes.
He's not trying to, and I love that he laughed that he thought that people thought he might have so much impact on the voiceover world that he would have an effect, But he's a cool, humble guy. Fun stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What was anything interesting that you took away from that conversation?
I was just really surprised at first that he was giving up.
Yeah.
The coaching and the YouTube videos, because that was a big part. But
he made money doing that.
Yeah, exactly. But if you think about this podcast and Matthew Parham last week, both of them said they're concentrating more on their VO journey. And I think, first, I think when you look at your work as a year in review thing, that prompts you to do that more anyway. But sometimes you do have to put yourself first to get where you ultimately want to be,
That's it. I love it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just focusing on yourself more. And sometimes you got to say no to other things a little bit more. And that's a powerful thing, by the way, being able to say no to things.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard because,
my shopping, I tell you what, I just wish.
Oh, my goodness. But there we go. Another successful episode of the Making Waves VO podcast presented by our good friends at Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
Bobby, we should do it again next week. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
The Making Waves VO podcast is produced by K2 Media Productions with hosts Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Sound design and editing by Jason Traver. Production assistance by Lacey Deline. Publicity and social media by Shannon Scott and Silas Phillips. Be sure to subscribe to the Making Waves VO podcast on your favorite platform. For all episodes, merchandise, gear, and more, visit makingwavesvo.com. Until next time, I'm AJ McKay. Keep making waves.